Judo is a very complex thing. I mean, one has to call it a thing because it is so many things to so many people. Dr. Andrew Mashinov, in his popular text, Judo from a Russian Perspective, writes, Judo in Russia has never been seen as anything other than an out-and-out sport. That is why effective teaching and training methods were so naturally activated. Dr. Mashinov wrote that in suggestion to the cultural aspect of Judo as a martial art having an effect on the best way to teach it as a sport. I understand exactly where he's coming from. Sometimes some of the cultural traditions that are passed down in terms of training and practicing Judo, they aren't sound in terms of exercise science and sports science. I mean, some of the exercises that we do, some of the rolls that we do, some of the falling exercises that we do, those aren't really preparation for anything. Some of them are, and some of them aren't. I mean, when you look at the sport of wrestling, they do a lot of falling too, and they don't take months, hours, or a lot of class time to teach falling. Falling is actually something natural that happens with the children. There's a lot more falling that needs to be covered with adults than with kids. There's a way that you can teach the gymnastics, the rolling, the kinesthetic awareness through exercises and allow the kids to train without spending so much time focusing on just falling. But that's another conversation. But getting back to Judo. I mean, to others, Judo is seen as an art. A fine art for some and a martial art for others. For some, it's a religion, and others a subject matter to be studied like physics, engineering, history, or mathematics. For me, Judo has always been an academic pursuit. One where I diligently pursued Isaac's 3 laws of motion. I guess Isaac and I are on a first name basis after graduating out of the School of Engineering at Howard University. But I'm speaking about Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion. I studied that. I studied applied engineering, physics, statics, dynamics, logic, and applied psychology as those things applied to Judo. For me, Judo has always been a pursuit where I challenge the current status quo and use a Socratic method of questioning in order to find a more excellent way to approach this thing that we call Judo. Judo for me is an exploration in movement, in kinesiology, and physical education, and anatomy, physiology, and sports science. One where I constantly seek to learn how to create a better system, a better way, a better approach for preparation, learning, and performance through observation and research. And although I have not practiced the sport as long as some people, and longer than others, I can say with a comfortable degree of certainty and accuracy that there are only a few people who study the art and sport as much as I do with as much depth and attention to detail. With that being said, this particular thing that I've studied is called performance judo. And performance judo falls under the umbrella of judo, but is solely concerned with the specific goals and outcomes per the planning and preparation of an athlete or a team. And that means that there are certain times when the desired goal is to win a match, and there are certain times when the desired goal is to perform or execute a technique within a randori environment, within a practice environment, or within a shiai environment, in order to gain sometimes reconnaissance information on how the technique is defended or how well it works. Sometimes in order to gain an amount of repetitions necessary for expertise. And sometimes as a foundational practice for another movement. It's difficult to talk to people about performance judo. In my study of performance judo, I found out that it's in diametrical opposition at times to those who are Kodokan judo purists. Performance judo's mission is different. It's not only to execute a move to perfection, but to execute the game plan to perfection. And sometimes that includes the perfect execution of moves that are not necessarily throws or part of the standard canon of judo learning. Look, due to the inclusion of judo in the 1964 Olympics, judo became a huge global sporting phenomenon, where now it is practiced by millions globally, and it is a very well recognized martial art. The what we call the propagation of the art from art to sport and to an Olympic sport has, hell, you can say that it has upset some people, but it's created many types of judoka and many styles or types of judo. So when somebody says, I do judo, when you're in the game of judo, you don't even know what they mean. When you say, what type of judo do you do? You do sport judo, or you're a dojo judo player, you're a recreational judo player? Do you do the combat, self-defense part of judo? Are you a kata judo person? I mean, when you say you do judo, it's like, what type of judo do you do? I mean, as a coach, sensei, teacher, and facilitator of both the art and sport of judo, it is difficult to advise today's teacher, coach, practitioner, and athlete about judo, because there's so many myths passed down that are truths within their own place and space, but myths in others. Meaning, you have people that really believe that you have to have pretty and beautiful uchikomi, and your uchikomi have to be nice, and you got to sit there and work on your uchikomi. Man, I've coached national championships that couldn't, not national champs that couldn't do uchikomi. Not one. Because a Shiai is not an uchikomi championship. But one person would argue that uchikomi are necessary. And if I'm in that domain, I will argue that uchikomi are necessary. And that is true. But uchikomi are not necessary to win. Watch this. At certain levels. So it depends on what you're talking about. It depends on if it's short-term, long-term. If you're talking about a short-term development program or long-term development program, you're talking about something that you need right now. When you're looking at the chronological landscape of development, if you're trying to develop a national champion in 12 months, there's certain things that you have to do and certain things you got to throw out. And you can't even pay attention to them. Although they may be good things to do, they're just not good things to do right now. I remember when I was a younger coach than I am right now, and I used to look at people's performance in a tournament. I would be quick to judge the coach or judge the person, or not understanding that, man, I don't know what that person is in the developmental cycle. I don't know what that person is with their coach. I don't know if they're in school. I don't know if they just got back on the mat. I don't know if they've been working on Osoto or a double move combination that has nothing to do with the game that they were in. I don't know if what their exercise or training cycle. I don't know any of that. And to judge a person based upon what I see at a tournament, it's the convenient thing to do, but it's the wrong thing to do. And I didn't know that when I was younger, but I know that now.